Hey, good morning. It's 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. I'm still not awake, even though I slept in and got some stuff. I got my exercise in and got the morning routine through the hoops here. Anyway, who is this, Greg? I don't know. Anyway, what do I want to talk about today? The 4 sprint magic. I saw some posts. I always see posts. People complain, well, everybody wants to do the ceremonies and Scrum and Kanban and be really rigid about it. And those are the Agile accountants. But I want to talk about not just why they help, but the 4 sprint magic. And I always tell teams it takes about 4 sprints and then the magic starts. Okay. So I want to talk about that today a little bit. And this is the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. I am Greg Mester, Scrum Master and Agile Coach. And this is our 650th episode of the show. And we talk about Scrum and Agile in a practical and tactical way so you get your value to your customer, get home to family and friends, not work crazy hours, and have some fun. So with that, what am I talking about? Let's Greg talk about this magic 4 sprints, 4 sprint magic. Well, in theory, actually in practice, if you really do it right, it only takes 4 sprints for the team to figure out all the ceremonies and the Scrum and activities. If it takes your team more than that, there's other issues going on out there. And I'm going to give you 5 things to make that 4 sprint magic happen. And why do I say the 4 sprint magic? After the 4 sprint, your team knows pretty much how to do what they need to do. And now it's a question of how they're going to go up on the curve for being productive and high performing. So these are the 5 things that are important to getting that fourth sprint magic. The team has to be open to change, or basically they're tired as crap of the way they've been working and their asses off and they're exhausted. They have to be willing, or maybe they're just, I don't want to do this anymore. It's too much work, right? And that's where a lot of the Agile Manifesto came from, by the way. It's not all the things they tell you. It's about they were just tired of working those crazy hours and not get the value to the customers. Are willing to do it, right? So not only that you can say you're open to change, but you're willing to change. You have to be willing to change. If you're not willing to change, it's going to take more than 4 sprints. And that's the truth. Willing to give up control, okay? And you're like, what do you mean give up control? Well, in Scrum and Agile, you're working as a team. It's no longer you telling everybody what to do. If you're a manager, you're an old project manager, and you used to telling people, I don't know why any project manager on this entire planet would ever tell anybody what to do, because that's the wrong way of doing project management. But on the other hand, a lot of them do that, and that's not the way you're supposed to do it. But willing to give up control. Managers giving up control to the teams, to be self-organizing. Team leads, tech leads, things you learned how to give control to other people to do the way they want. So that's number 3. Number 4 is willing to trust. You have to trust others on the team to do their job. And you have to trust yourself that you can do it, right? So, and the last one is 5th. Now, I'm going to say this, and people are like, oh, God, here comes a thingy. Basic training. Okay. So the way you get to that 4th one is understanding how your framework works and the core behind it and how to operate it. And there's different levels of that. And I can write a book on each one of the ceremonies, why, where. Maybe I should make a 5-part series, Scrum book. We'll see. But with those 5 things, if you have them in place, any team on this planet can be doing Scrum and becoming a high-performing team within 4 sprints. Where you have difficulty is when it doesn't happen. So like when I said, I saw people complaining, oh, they're rigid on the ceremonies. Well, those people don't know anything, okay? There are the ceremonies, but there's reasoning behind the ceremonies. When someone says they obsess with the ceremonies, the person who's saying that on LinkedIn or anything doesn't understand the purpose of the ceremonies and what they're supposed to bring out of the team. They don't understand the real deep meaning and purpose behind those ceremonies, because they just say, oh, they're just looking to sell ceremonies or something. But it's not that. There's a reason. There's lots of history behind it. So again, I'm going to go with that a little bit. Open the change. Tired of the old way. If you hear people on the team say, well, we just always done it this way. Well, then are you complaining every day that you don't like it? Well, yeah. Well, the only way we're going to make it so anymore is we got to change what we're doing, right? If you don't change, then you're never going to get rid of that complaint. Maybe they just like to complain for their entire life. I don't know. Maybe. Willing to do it. You have to be willing to make room in your schedule, room in your time to allow change to happen. Change, you can't just add change on top of what you're already doing. That's a misnomer. That's a misbelief. That's wrong, right? And that's what really burns people out. Oh, I got to add another thing onto what I was doing. No, you have to be willing. You have to be willing to do it. So when you did the status briefs, you have to be willing not to do the status briefs anymore, right? That has to be part of it. Willing to give up control. In the micromanagement world where managers would tell everybody to do, but then they would always complain how people didn't do stuff because they're waiting for you to tell them what to do. It is your fault as a manager, okay? And you can't just leave them hanging. That's part of the training part. You want to make sure they got the good training and they know they can grow and learn and practice what they get trained in. But you got to give up control. I see so many Scrum Masters who fail at daily Scrum and they still host the daily Scrum after four sprints. I don't understand. I don't get it. I try to get them out of it. A lot of times, some do really well, and the team just goes. Other teams, they have to be there. Some people pick up on it in a second, but they feel like they have to be in control. That's their job as Scrum Master, is to run the daily Scrum. And maybe outside people, that's what they think too. Maybe, well, what are you doing as a Scrum Master? If you're not running the daily Scrum, then why do I hire you? There's more to being a Scrum Master than running the daily Scrum. And you have to break that barrier. If you're not out of your daily Scrum as a Scrum Master within 30 days, then you're doing something wrong. It's the honest truth, right? Willing to trust. You have to trust your team. You have, as a Scrum Master, you have to trust your team to run the daily Scrum the way it's supposed to be run. You have to trust the product owner to get their job done. But trust but verify. Let me say that, though. You work with them so that they understand. You can't just say, well, here, go do it. That's like me telling a kid, okay, kid, go drive a car. He's 8, right? He can't drive a car. He's 8, right? And next time, put him behind. Well, he would love it. He's going to crash it. I don't think he can hit the pedals. But you have to be able to be trusting them to do their job. You have to trust them to update it. You might have to work with them a little bit, get them. Trust they will get to know what to do. You have to trust that if you put the extra effort in and kind of push them along, they'll get it where, hey, I'm not doing that job for you as Scrum Master. That's your job. You're responsible for your own stuff. You're self-organized, self-managing or whatever, self-responsible for what your work is. Part of your work is making sure everybody updates, let's say, your system on board, whether it be Jira, Azure, version 1, Rally, I don't know, whatever systems out there. And there's all kinds of other products out there. And then basic training. A lot of people ask, why do we need a coach? Why do we need a Scrum Master? Because it's new stuff. The more you kind of know about how it works and get some training on the activities, the quicker the 4 sprints happen. If you wait until you're 8 sprints in and then train your people on the basic stuff, they already picked up bad habits and bad things from the get-go. And it's going to be really hard to break them loose. So you need to give them the training, whether it be a day or two, consistent training and updating as you go through the process of facilitation. If you're a Scrum Master and you haven't taken, I'll be honest, with the IC Agile facilitation course, I really want to ask you, why are you screwing around? I'm just saying. If you haven't taken, I know I teach a class, but if you haven't taken a facilitation, let's say it's not the IC Agile. I took a facilitation class back in the 90s, and that was way before IC Agile ever existed, right? But I also took the class because it talks more from an Agile perspective, how to facilitate Agile ceremonies, right? How to make that happen, how to facilitate the meetings, the events. So it's good. If you haven't done that, then you're going to have problems. And there's no reason. It's only a 2-day class. It's like nothing. But also the training. What do you know about Scrum and Agile? I talked to some people the other day. And I was asking him about, well, are you involved in social media? Well, no, I don't like social media, whatever. I'm like, but if there's a lot of information on LinkedIn, I get more information on LinkedIn about people coming up with ideas and stuff like that, meetup groups, social media things. There's lots of information. So if you're in that growth mindset, if you're a Scrum Master or doing Agile and you're going through this transition and you're not of a growth mindset, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough. Let's be honest with you. If you think you don't need the training or don't want to spend the extra time and carve out, now there's the other thing. You have to be willing, right? You have to be willing to give up some time for production of product for that first 2 months. Let's say it's a 2-week sprint, 2 months to take some classes to learn. And then what time you free up in your process, use that time for continuous learning. And that's what I just want to share today. There is a magic that happens after the 4th sprint if you let it happen, if you do those 5 things, if you do open the change because you're sick and tired of the way we're working, willing to do it because it does take a little bit of energy, willing to give up control, willing to trust, and get some basic training. You get those 5 things, you will be working pretty well after 4 sprints. And I just did an engagement where the teams that were willing, come the 4th sprint, they're pretty much there. Now they're growing. They're doing experimenting stuff. They're trying to do things that other groups aren't. And I'll tell you a story tomorrow about one of my product owners I talked to as I was exiting at my last job and how he was surprised how much other teams aren't doing things. I said, yeah, they're not. What you're doing, you're on the edge, right? You're on the cusp of getting to that point where you're ready to be high performing. So I want to wish you the best of luck. Happy Scrumming. Enjoy your day. I see you tomorrow. And give us a thumbs up if you like what we're talking about. I am thinking maybe I should do a course on this or something. I got so many courses. Ring the bell. Ring the bell twice. And so you get notification when we go live. And with that, I say happy Scrumming and take care and enjoy. Bye. And see ya.